audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
From the gridiron to the ball diamonds, from the hardwood to the ice rinks, from the fairways to the octagon and everywhere in between. If it makes headlines, it's fair game on the Sports Reel podcast on the PFC Entertainment Network. Hey, we do welcome you. We do welcome you to the Sports Reel podcast here on the PFC Entertainment Network. Folks, we are as live as it can be. We are live streaming this across Riverside.fm, Facebook, and YouTube. And Tim is having all kinds of issues this evening, if I can be honest with you. There's something going on with his internet, so chances are he's going to be in and out real quick while he's here. Hi, Tim. Good to see you.
What's going on? I just want to play. Oh, hold on. I think I got this shit figured out. I switched. I don't know. I switched my internet thingy. So hopefully that takes care of it. I'm trying to talk all like I know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. So we'll just we'll go with that. Sorry, I'm trying to like share the pages at the same time right now. So I'm talking. I'm just gonna just keep this rolling. Happy birthday to old Big Red Andy Reid.
Oh, well, that's great.
Are we gonna sing happy birthday to him? I think we should.
You go right ahead.
It would only make sense.
If you're watching this live with us, number one, we appreciate you tuning in here this week. But if you're watching it on demand, you can see that we have a special guest with us, and we'll be bringing him on in just a moment. But before we do, I made mention last week, and I think maybe the week before last, that we upgraded our capabilities here on the PFC network, and we wanted to include, and I'll be straight up with you. The determining factor was the fact that we could take live call-ins. And when I realized that was a capability, this show in particular was priority one with this. As it stands right now, we have been upgraded, and I wanted to kind of walk everybody through real quick as to what happens. It's not your general, I have a cell phone number that you call in and it registers with the network. You got to go through Riverside. So real quick, this is how this works. If you want to join the show and be on the show as it happens live, number one, you have to be on a computer or a desktop. You have to go through Chrome, and then you have to go into riverside.fm/PFC podnet. When you go into that, it will give you the option to join the conversation, and you got to hit a couple buttons and answer a couple of questions. I get the notification, and then you can join the conversation as it happens. Now, what I will tell you is this. While we're here to have fun and we're here to express ourselves and give your opinion, you will have that platform. But I am a one and done kind of guy. If there is any level of disrespect on any level, I will bump you as fast as you came in, faster actually. So I mean, as long as you're cool, as long as you're being respectful, you have a place here. But I promise you, if it goes off the rails, I will cancel that call with the quickness, because that's not what people are tuning in for. Okay, I'm going to try to put that link in our open chat, and if you don't want to do all that, you can still correspond with us through the live chat on the PFC Network Facebook page. With that being said, Tim, like I said, we have a very special guest. Would you like to do the honors of bringing him onto the show?
Sure. I'll do this shit. One thing, I can't even see his face because I have some weird picture-in-picture modes closed to maintain recording quality over his face, so I think he's there. But I'd like to introduce the one and only Devin Garcia. He's here. I've been trying to get him on here for fucking months, but he does this weird shit at school where like he had to go to school. Who needs fucking school, Devin? I like honestly, yeah. Who needs that shit? When you could have been doing the podcast the whole time, fuck education, fuck all that. Get on here, let's talk fucking sports. I'm glad to finally have you here, buddy.
It's good to be here. I dropped out for this, you know.
There's a future here, Devin.
I know it. It's really awesome.
I'm really excited about having a guest on here. It's really, really great to have you on here, Devin. And look, any friend of Tim's is a friend of mine. I don't mind telling you. And real quick, I did just post the link. If you want to join the conversation, it is in the group chat right now. Brian Jackson is watching with us live, I believe, on Facebook. So, Brian, we appreciate you tuning in. Look, we have a number of different things that have come across my radar here this week, Tim. I do want to touch on real quick the March Madness tournament, and I do want to talk about the controversy this past week with the Detroit Pistons. I'm sure you have a number of different things that you want to bring to the table. Where would you like to start this week?
I'll let you start because I saw that your beloved green and white ended up losing a game there the other day.
Oh, yeah. Listen.
You were raving about them motherfuckers.
Just goes to show. It just goes to show. Any team can be beaten on any given day, right? But let's start with the NCAA tournament. I mean, we could sit here for hours on end and break down every game, all 64 teams. We don't have time for all that shit. So what we are going to do is look at the more locally based teams here. And I did pull up this fun little graphic to let folks know where they can find our hometown teams. On Thursday, the University of Michigan will be playing the Titans of San Diego. They're going to be playing at 10 o'clock on Thursday. That's going to be on TBS. And then the next night, Friday night, the Michigan State Spartans will be playing the Bryant Bulldogs at 10:30. That will also be on TBS. From the way the brackets have broke down, Tim, I don't know if you really looked, deep into see how these brackets were formulated this year. Michigan State is the number 2 seed in their region, and looking at the different ways that this tournament is broke down this year, as far as number 2 seeds go, assuming things don't go completely off the rails, Michigan State has a pretty good chance of winning the region to advance and go deep into this playoff or this tournament. The same can be said for the Big Ten tournament champion, Michigan Wolverines. Look, I'm not going to sit here and shit on them. They are here. They are based in Michigan. I am not a Wolverine fan, but with that being said, I can put my personal feelings to the side, focus on the big picture here. They have a pretty clear path as well because, I mean, I have to be honest, that team is firing on all cylinders right now.
That it is, and they should be because they're the better team.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I haven't followed it much. Devin, you been following college basketball at all?
I'm going to be honest with you. I have not. I was just going to look up some stuff and see how it's been going. I'm not too huge into basketball anymore.
I don't think either one of us are either. We've had this discussion before. Like college basketball is one thing. I know Jason really gets into it. But
Yeah.
NBA is another thing we have trouble following. And it's because of the evil LeBron James.
I don't know. I like old school basketball. I'll rewatch that with my old man, but I don't like new age basketball and how it is now. just not for me.
Yeah.
Because everybody's gotten soft.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, okay. Along those lines, in making the transition to the NBA real quick, this thing came across my radar the other day, and like I didn't want to just take it based on one or two TikTok videos I saw. I actually went and did some research, like what in the hell is going on here with the Detroit Pistons, and it made me ask the question again. I got into a pretty lengthy conversation at my shoot job as to why is there such a prejudice against the teams in Detroit, and we actually started the conversation before this one particular game. Then that night, the bottom fell out with the Pistons, and I'm going to try to pull up this clip here from the post-game press conference with the coach of the Detroit Pistons, and just, I mean, this guy was fired up, and I'm going to try to pull this up real quick, so just bear with me.
Yeah, I didn't even see this yet, so I'd be interested to see it.
The level of disrespect was above and beyond. Our young players are competing their tail off. The least that they could do is get the same respect that everybody else in this league gets and get refereed the same way that everybody else in this league gets. And enough is enough of it. And what you saw tonight was disgusting. It was a disgusting display of disrespect towards our guys and what we're trying to do.
Ooh, I like the fieriness.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you watch that game, Jason?
I did not, Tim. I'll be honest, but I did. I mean, it wasn't very long after after all of that shit was going on that my inbox started blowing up with the same question: are you watching this? Did you see this? Because they know that we do this. A couple of things that I took away from this. When I did go back and watch the highlights of the game, and I don't know who does it, but somebody goes into great length to compile a lot of the footage during the actual game. And there was one specific, I don't know, file or whatever, where they were calling out and showing these technical fouls that were being called on the Pistons. And then you got the national broadcast and the commentators, giving their 2 cents in on this. But when I saw that press conference, and I saw the fire in that coach's eyes and just how legitimately upset that he was, so much came into my mind. One, this is the coach that the Pistons needed, and they've needed for a long time. They need somebody that has just as much passion sitting behind a microphone after the fact as the players who are on the court trying to play the game. I say trying because what went on in that game, based on the footage that I saw, was no doubt a complete bias against the Pistons. And it is because they're playing a different kind of ball. It is because their approach with this game is different. It's very much old school, like what Devin was saying. The teams, like what we watched back in the day when we actually liked the NBA, the Pistons of here and now are trying to restore that to this game. And this is what happens when they try. They are blatantly and biasedly being called for some of the dumbest shit that I've ever seen. But you can let a LeBron James do anything that he wants and nothing happens with him because he's the golden boy of the NBA. Wrong. LeBron James, and this is a perfect example because it is such a stark contrast, is the reason why the NBA is in the absolute shits that it is right now. Because of that mentality. And when guys actually try to play basketball the way it was supposed to be played, this is what happens. And unfortunately, the ones who are target number one are the ones who have the word Pistons or Detroit across their jerseys. Maybe I'm off the rocker. Tim, what is your takeaway on this?
I mean, this is a problem we've had in Detroit for a lot of years. Doesn't matter the team. I know Nathan just came on here a minute ago and said he said the same thing has been said with the refs that have been working the Wings games as well. They show. I just think Detroit gets beat up. I mean, we saw it for so many years with the Lions, where they get shitty calls or, the stuff just doesn't go their way. The Lions, not so much anymore, but now you're starting to see that growth of the Pistons. And because they don't keep along with the rest of the NBA, maybe they play a little bit differently. They're getting the shit end of the stick. It's almost like they don't want them there. It's almost like when the Lions were doing well, they didn't want them there. Same thing with the Wings. It's like people need to get over this Detroit shit. But I like that energy from that press conference, from that coach. And we get back to the whole grit mentality that every Detroit team is starting to adopt. Thankful to Dan Campbell that he brought that mentality, but every team is adopting it. And I just think that these guys are stuck in that point where the Lions were at one point, and eventually they'll break through it, but they just need to get to that point. Devin, what do you think?
I really liked the interview. I think that reminded me of like a Jim Schwartz, type of coach. I always liked Jim Schwartz just because he was so feisty, fiery. We need something like that back for the Pistons. We've had some really terrible years as Pistons. We got Cade Cunningham. We thought we were going to be great, and we've been pretty bad. So let's spice it up. Let's bring some more heat. I like it, but
what frustrates me about all of this is, and this is the argument that I made, and Tim, you made mention of it, grit and this mentality. It's not a catchphrase. It is a culture that one coach of one of our teams instilled in his team and has in turn started to become infectious with every team in this city. Because now it's gotten to a point where Detroit, Michigan has always had something of an unfair label to it, right? Like everybody looks down on Detroit because, we're cheaters and we're rough and we're this. And, we talked about the bad boys and how they were hated among the other teams in the NBA. You look back. The Detroit Lions have been the victims, and anybody can argue all day long. It doesn't matter because the video footage doesn't lie. But they were on the receiving end of some pretty bogus calls, blatant calls. And if it had been the other team, that flag would have never been thrown. We had seen that with the Detroit Red Wings. When the Red Wings were in the midst of their dynasty and they were dominating the NHL, every other team and every other executive had to try to find a way to shut the Red Wings down. Not because of the players on the ice, but because of the city in which they play. And I do not understand why this is, but this also happens when, and this is why our teams, our championship teams, have the reputation that they do, because they have to rise above. They have to not only play who they're playing on the field or on the ice or what have you, but they have to beat the officials too, to a point to where you cannot argue this is what's happening. And I think that's why we as fans have such a powerful, passionate attachment to these teams, because it truly is a Detroit versus everybody mentality. And, if you're a Detroit fan, this is what we've been waiting for. If you're not, then this is what you pick apart. But at the end of the day, I am so goddamn sick of this blatant bias towards our teams, towards our city. And, you get to a point to where that coach was probably fined $10,000 because of what he said. Why? Because he called the officials out for being bullshit, and he had video evidence to back it up. But he's going to get fined because you can't talk shit about the officials. You can't talk shit about what went on, even though it cost you a game or it cost you a championship. We're supposed to be okay with that. Well, I'm not okay with it. I'm sick to death of all of this shit. And I don't know, Tim, if this caught me on the wrong day when I was dealing with other bullshit going on. And I'm like, you know what? I cannot wait to get on the air this week and break this shit down. And if you want to try to find me, You can send your hate tweet over on Twix. I'm at PFC Network. I'm not hard to find. But the referees on that occasion was absolute dog shit, hands down.
Well, I don't think that was the only bad calls I seen for the week. I saw that your Spartans got a bad call at the end of that game that led to a loss.
Mm-hmm. That's
You
yeah.
gotta highlight this this comment from David down here. I got me fucking smiling. Fucking Dave.
Dave Melbourne is really becoming a highlight of these shows. I don't mind telling you. Some of his commentary it really lightens the mood. That's for damn sure. No, we certainly appreciate him tuning in as well. So anyway, yeah, that's my 2 cents on this bullshit with the Pistons this week. And look, if nothing else, man, if this doesn't keep igniting that fire under their ass, and to take that frustration, rechannel that, and actually shove it down the refs' throats undisputedly, that's the best way you can handle this, in my view.
I think they just have to take the same mentality that the Lions took after a while. It's just like you have to win so decisively that you take the refs right out of it. You don't even give them a chance to steal the game from you. You just fucking mow down opponents and you just go. Hand was on the ball. He threw his head. Oh, come on, Jim Burgett. Fuck off. I saw that shit. That was a foul. Miss you, Jim. I can't wait to get you back on.
I was going to say, you'll notice he's doing it from the chat and isn't calling into the show for that. He could tell the fire and venom that's on this side of the camera here this week. He don't want none of this. That's what's happening. That's what's happening.
All right, so I've had enough of this basketball bullshit for a minute. Before we get into football talk, once again, I want to wish Andy Reid a happy birthday, Big Red. By the time this is over, we will all be singing him a happy birthday.
Will you?
You're fucking joining me, Jason. It's Andy fucking Reid. We're singing him happy birthday.
I don't know the words, Tim. Can you send them over to me?
Don't tell me. I'll fucking do it. But anyways, I wanted to get into golf real quick. Over the weekend, we had the Players Championship. I'm sure. Oh, Jim. Why is Jim? Oh no, that was from Dave. Yeah. Jim's gonna hit him with the chair. Anyways, okay. So I know you guys were probably tuned in all weekend to the Players Championship. True for the both of you, just completely tuned in, engrossed. What's that?
I was on the edge of my seat.
Yes, it was so exciting. But anyways, fuck off, Jason. Golf is exciting.
I'm not saying it's not, brother. I'm trying. For you, I'm trying. I really am.
Anyways, Players Championship, Rory McIlroy won it. The wife was going nuts. She was super happy. It actually ended Sunday. We watched the final day. Rory was leading by like 3 strokes on hole 14, ended up dropping the lead. JJ Spawn came back. They ended up tying the end of the tournament. They had a 3-hole playoff Monday morning, which Rory ended up winning. He was 1 ahead after 16, 17. JJ put the ball in the water. He kind of ran with it at that point. But yeah, we got Rory McIlroy won a 2nd tournament of the year so far. This goes. I mean, Rory's kind of on a hot streak. He's been doing well this year. It's been a good year for him. Another one that hasn't been such a good year for is Scotty Scheffler. I've talked about him a lot on this show so far in my little golf things, but Scotty is not clicking this year, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the year of Rory. But I wanted to fill that in because I know none of you guys watch golf. I do. So I wanted to give our golf fans a little bit of a thing. Go Rory. Like I said, the wife was fucking ecstatic. Damn it, Jim.
You want them a
chat going nuts. Devin, do you watch golf? Does your brother watch golf? I know you said your brother was big into golf.
Yeah, he was just watching golf yesterday. Or I don't know if it was like a actual tour or if he was just watching like a YouTuber. But he's
There's
huge
the
into
YouTube golf is huge, bro.
Yeah, I think
Like that seems to
maybe
be
that's what he was
like
watching.
bringing a lot of excitement back into the world of golf with YouTube golf, because you got like Rick Shields, good golf. You got there's a whole bunch of them. I can't even think. I've been drinking. Fuck. I was trying to think of Bob Does Sports, and I couldn't say it, so the only thing that came out was fuck.
Sometimes that's all you need to say, man. It just perfectly encapsulates it. Yeah. So, you're talking about Rory winning another one here. Now, help me out. Do they have a major tournament every weekend?
Well, this one wasn't technically a major. I mean, there's 4 majors in golf. This one is kind of like quasi major, but it's like an unofficial major. It's put on by the PGA. All the 4 majors are actually not put on by the PGA. They're put on by other entities. So that way you can see PGA golfers and live golfers going at it in the majors. Whereas the Players Championship is pretty much the highest tournament of the PGA Tour that is different than the majors. It's got the highest. I think the purse on it was 25 million or something. I didn't catch what Rory actually took for winning it, but it's like an unofficial major. It's they kind of consider it the 5th major without it being an official major. So, but there is a major coming up here pretty soon. The Masters will be taking place in the beginning of April there. So that's a big one that we need to keep an eye on. What the fuck is going on? Like, damn, these guys are just going back and forth in our chat. Our chat is more interesting than fucking we are right now.
I wouldn't go that far. Calm down. We're number one. At least they get to see us. You know what I mean? Three good-looking dudes on a Wednesday night. What are we doing? Yeah. Jim's on one. If I can be honest with you, he's on something here tonight. I don't know.
If he's got all this fucking time, why isn't he on the show?
That's what I'm saying. You know what? Hang on a second.
He says red jacket, green jacket. Who gives a shit?
Let me see if I can do this real quick. Stand by, as it were.
So your brother, Devin, I need you to start watching golf. I know you just started playing a little bit last year.
What do I want? I want you to get on the goddamn call.
I'm trying to watch highly entertaining YouTube podcast or Facebook Live podcast.
You know, if you're going to be talking so much smack, you can at least get on the call. Do you need me to send you the link?
Yeah, I don't care.
Stand by, Cupcake, and I'm going to send you something. Accept it and get on the call.
All right, let me get into a better. Give me a few minutes.
Fucking clothes on, Jim.
You've got 90 seconds. Bye-bye.
Nobody wants to see you on the damn screen in your underwear. Just put some fucking clothes on.
Oh, this is going to be a real hoot. Let me get back over here. I see Mark Ruff is watching with us, and that makes my heart happy.
We've had a pretty good sling of people watching so far. So what the fuck did they say? They should add slashing, checking, and high sticking into the game of golf. I mean, that would make it exciting.
Trying to think of
God, we haven't even got to football yet. I can't wait till we get to football. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's what me and Devin Devin watches a lot of football too, so he's up on football. There wasn't as exciting, or it wasn't as much. Fuck, I've been drinking. There wasn't as much exciting news in football this week, but I got a few questions for Devin on how he feels. I kind of know already because I fucking pick his mind at work all the time, but we'll get it live on air. So I know nobody gives a shit about golf besides me. Fuck, I need to find somebody on this show that likes golf as much as me. Fuck, stop drinking too.
Pal, I really am trying. I'm trying to get behind it. I'm trying to learn, so I can give you
you just had the perfect chance to watch the Players, and it was exciting, Jason.
All right. Well, I will take the hit for this, and I do apologize.
Fuck, I'm gonna have to get my wife on here because she watches golf with me. She knows more than you guys. Damn it.
I'm not mad about it.
Ask Jim about his third nipple.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. That was too much. Did Mark send that in?
No, that was Dave.
Was it?
Yeah, Mark said Jim has to put his lipstick on before he joins. And Mark said Jim Burgett Sparty says eat shit, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I like the lipstick thing. Maybe he's getting all prettied up for us before he jumps on here. If he ever fucking jumps on, what's taking him so long?
I don't know.
We'll do a little quick track through baseball, anyways, because we got Jim on, and he fucking follows baseball more than anybody I know.
Jim, the link to join us is in the live chat here. So just kind of scroll up. That's where you take your finger and go the opposite way until you see the link. It's going to start with River.
It's hard for him to focus when he's sitting on the toilet, though.
This is true. Very true. Anyway.
Devin's over here just super quiet. I haven't heard him say fuck one time.
I'm ready to talk about some football.
We're going to get to it here in a second. I don't even know what happened today, but I know there was some signing. I just keep seeing the Chiefs get their fucking roster ripped apart.
So, as of right now, I mean, in terms of football, if Jim comes on, then we'll make him wait, and then we'll focus a little bit on baseball. We don't have time. We don't have all night for this guy. He's such a diva.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a landing spot for Aaron Rodgers yet. Have I missed something? I've seen the Giants were mentioned again this week, and I've seen the Steelers were mentioned again this week. I haven't seen anything official in terms, although I did see something yesterday, and I don't know if it's real, and I didn't have time to go into it. Myles Garrett, he's not coming to Detroit, right? That's
No,
in a real article.
Yeah, no, he re-signed Cleveland.
Right.
He's the highest paid defensive end in the league right now. He just signed a crazy deal with Cleveland, $40 million a year.
See, I remember us talking about that. And then yesterday, something that came across my radar that said that Detroit had actually gone and traded for him for a couple of high-profile their draft picks for the first round. I'm like, no, there's no way this is real.
No, there's so much of that shit on Facebook.
They called about him. I know that, but
that was
they're
before
not
he signed, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, they called when he requested a trade, but and then I don't think Aaron Rodgers is gonna find a home. To be honest, I think he's kind of
I'm still holding out for the Vikings. I'm holding. I mean, washed. Let's be. Oh fuck. It just got real. Anyways, talk about washed. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was top 10 in passing yards and touchdowns last season. How is he washed? I keep hearing that. Like I keep seeing that. Like, how do you consider that washed? And the cap hit that the Jets are taking just for releasing them is crazy. I saw something like, was it $40-something million cap hit for releasing them?
I just think victories count, right? In 2
Yeah.
years. The first year, you can't help a injury, but last year was a big letdown.
Oh fuck! I don't know if are you following this chat there, Devin?
Yeah, the welfare.
Yeah, I've been rooting on
There'll be
him going to the fucking Vikings, but I keep saying that's off now.
Yeah, the Vikings said they weren't going to take him.
Yeah, shit.
Where the fuck is Jim? I see a black screen and I heard his voice.
Hell, that's where I'm at. I'm frozen fucking hell.
Are you on the shitter?
It's 75 degrees out.
Are you on the shitter? Is that why you don't want to show us your face?
I'm frozen. I'm looking right at it, dickhead. It says 10%.
He's pooping.
Maybe turn your camera on. What? Hey, Don't be coming in here with a horse shit attitude, okay?
It just says 43% and it's frozen.
Well, you're live, brother. So I mean, we can't see you. I mean, that's perfect indication
Okay.
that you're taking a shit. But you are.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've had a live person taking a shit on the show. How's everything moving there for you, Jim?
Pretty good. The corn's not stopping it at all.
All right.
Oh man, this is great. This is a good time. I'm having fun. So
This is a good one. All right, back to football. So Aaron Rodgers up in the air. We don't know where he's going. That leaves Russell Wilson out there too, also up in the air. I haven't heard anything about him. I know he met with the Giants, and I think it was Cleveland, right?
yeah,
Anybody? Cleveland? Yeah. So
it's Cleveland.
nothing on him yet. So currently, Steelers don't have a fucking quarterback at all. So where the fuck does it leave us? Is there any, like, I know, Devin, you follow college football a little bit more and you kind of know about the draft.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, is there any good quarterbacks in this draft this year?
I mean, people are gonna hype up Shadir Sanders.
Yeah.
He's okay. He's not like the greatest. There's the guy from Florida. I can't remember his name at the moment, but I guess he's projected to go to Tennessee in DJ's latest mock draft.
Oh, okay. So what the fuck is the Steelers hanging out for?
I don't know. Oh, Cam Ward. Sorry.
Oh, Cam Ward. Okay, yeah, I've heard that name.
I don't know. They could take the chance on Rodgers.
I mean that's my best guess at this point because they literally don't have anybody. I know the Giants re-signed Tommy DeVito up there, so they can keep sticking with DeVito, but I don't even see that as an option really if they want to be competitive.
Who picked up Justin Fields?
Justin Fields went to shit. You're gonna have to look that up real quick. I can't remember, but they did trade him away to.
wasn't Washington?
No, it wasn't Washington. It was somebody who needed a quarterback. He's gonna start for him. I can't remember who the fuck it was.
I feel like he went to the Giants.
The Jets, isn't it?
Oh, he
Didn't
went
he
to the
sign with the
Jets.
Jets?
Oh, Jets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
yep. He's with the Jets, so he's gonna be the starting quarterback of the Jets.
Okay.
Good call, Jim. I can't see you, but I know you're there.
That's all right. I got your back, even though you can't see me.
Is your fucking camera on, bro?
It is. It's got me on there. It's frozen, and it's at 45%.
Like I know you can see yourself, but is your camera
I can see
literally
all
on?
you guys.
I know you can see
all
us.
you guys.
But see the cam button down there at the bottom? Is that on?
Dude, it's dickhead. It's on. I don't know how many times I gotta tell you. It is on. O-N, on. Not off, on. The opposite of off is on. It's on. All day long, it's on.
This is our first official call-in,
Next
Jason.
question.
Next question. All right. So as I'm sitting here and I keep going over the thing,
I mean,
fuck.
Like Jason's face right now, I can see his face is redder than a dog's
Can
dick.
you see that? Can you see
Yeah.
that?
So,
Yeah.
so all right. So my next question, I want to go around the table with you guys. After a full week of free agency, how do we feel about the fucking Lions and the moves they've made? I'll start with Devin right here. What do you think? What do you think's going on with the Lions?
we need some pass rush help. I like the cornerback signing, though. I think he's a really good player.
Do you feel any like little bit of worry based on the fact that he tied for the most pass interference calls last season?
There's a little worry there, but I know we like to be aggressive in man coverage, so it's just gonna come with what we have.
All right. Jason, how do you feel?
Less than impressed overall. I was really hoping that we were going to see some sort of blockbuster names come here in the off season, because up until they ran into the buzzsaw that was the Washington Commanders, everybody had already stamped our ticket and made our plans to go to the Super Bowl. And then we ran into Washington. So I'm like, all right, we saw how all that unfolded. So what are we going to do here in the off season? Because I felt like this was priority. We could see the promised land. We've been looking at the promised land from the outside for the last 2 years. We were one step away a year before all this. So why are we waiting to make spend some money, get somebody in here that's going to help the cause here? So overall, I'm not as I'm not saying that I'm not saying that we didn't take a step back, but we sure shit didn't take a big step forward either. In my view, getting Hutchinson back is going to be crucial. We've talked about that on the air here. That's where it all starts. But he's still one guy, and we still have a bunch of pieces here that we need to address if we really are going to go over the hump and be the representative of the NFC going into next year's Super Bowl. I'm hoping that there's something up their sleeve that we just don't know about or aren't privy to, or there's some sort of long-term plan here. I would like to put some faith in that because I believe in Dan Campbell. I believe in his vision for this team, and he certainly has the support from the front office. I just thought at this stage we would be sitting here right here and now and be like, well, this is what they've done, and they're serious about this. And I'm not saying that they're not serious. I'm a little weary about the lack of production, I guess, from a front office point of view.
I'm right there with you, Jim. What's your? First off, I gotta say, I think I know what's going on with Jim's camera. Mark Bruff said that he doesn't have enough books to sit on. That's why we can't see.
Didn't have enough what?
Enough books to sit on. That's why we can't see you.
Yeah,
and then he also said you're doing a very great Titus O'Neil impression right now. All right, back to business. Jim, what do you feel about free agency for the Detroit Lions?
That's
all right. First, Jason's got a good point. However, we did roll into the postseason, the most injured team out there. I mean,
yeah.
I would say trust Brad Holmes. He got us this far. I think we'll be all right. I think there's still something out there that they're gonna do, and they're just probably waiting because I don't think they're gonna spend money just to spend money. I think they're gonna find somebody that actually fits the team, wants to be with the team, and I just think we just gotta trust the process. I mean, it's not the same old Lions anymore. It's a different culture. We are getting Hutch back. Who's to say that they don't go out and get Trey Hendrickson or Hendrickson? What, can't remember his last name, and get him lining up on the opposite end of him, and as long as Terry and Arnold cannot be a pass interference machine or a holding machine, I think he'll be all right. I mean, last year was his rookie year, right? So, but
yeah.
I think some of these guys we got to go back to the discipline because it seemed like the last few games they were really racking up the fucking dumbass same old holding calls, encroachment or offsides or whatever it is. I just think that things kind of, I wouldn't say got lackadaisical, but I don't think that the seriousness was there as much because you don't have all your guys. I mean, you can only perform with what's on the field.
No, I feel you 100%. I'll give my input on it after a week because I was really hoping a lot more stuff would happen. And you brought up the point, Jim, of Terrion Arnold, not getting as many pass interference calls, and that's my only. That's the only thing that worries about me with this new signing with DJ Reed. He's a good back, but he also tied with Terrion Arnold last season for the most pass interference calls in the league. So now we got the number one. We got both tied number ones pass interference calls in the league last season, as our 1 and 2 cornerback. I also thought that with the release of Zadarius Smith that they were going to push to try to pick up another edge rusher that was going to kind of make, a big something big happen here in Detroit. And so far, nothing. And I mean, I know Trey Hendrickson is still on the market. I've been looking, and apparently, last week they were saying maybe a high second round, low third round pick to get him. But the problem with getting him also is with the defensive end market so high now, with Myles Garrett signing at $40 million a year, we got to re-sign Hutch, and Hendrickson isn't a bitch. I mean, he got 17.5 sacks last season. He's right up there with the elite edge rushers. You could get him what's that?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean. He was first overall last year. He led the league, right?
I think, yeah, he was right there.
Yeah.
So when he resigns, because that's what he's looking for, is not only could we get him, but you're only have him a year before you're gonna have to pay him 40 something fucking $1 million a year. Now you're wrapping up $80-90 million just on edge rushers, and it's not realistic. So I think he's off the table if we plan on keeping Hutch. Now, did they go back and try to re-sign Zadarius Smith? I don't know. Or do we draft? I know I was talking to Devin the other day at work, and he said he had a feeling that maybe they try to draft an edge rusher. But what edge rusher, unless they trade up, is going to be sitting there at 28,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, Devin, what do you how do you feel about the edge rush position?
It's deeper on the defensive line for this draft class, so somebody could fall. I mean, a lot of players fell. Bobby Boucher, huh?
He'd be elite. He'd be worth at least $50 million a year.
Yeah.
So it is pretty deep on the. Jim just disappeared. He's gone.
Well, that 46%,
Yeah, maybe he'll come back in. So
Somebody
it is
could
pretty
fall.
deep on the defensive end this year. I see. That's where I need
D-line too. It's just mainly D-line, like D tackles, pretty deep, and then defensive end. There's key players. There we go.
fucking Jim. He finally found enough books. All right, so possibility they're waiting. Yeah. So possibility they're waiting for the draft. Do you think they're going to pick up a defensive end in the draft?
Yeah, that's my thought. And then Brad likes to do double down picks. We've seen that. He takes 2 D tackles, 2 D ends. Maybe we'll do that again. We'll see what happens. Maybe he's depending on contributors to step up, like Pascal. I don't know.
Maybe I know that we just re-signed him, or we re-signed Connor, and then we re-signed Davenport. We'll see.
Yeah.
Davenport played a couple games last season.
Yeah, I don't like Davenport. I mean, he's a good guy. He's a good player when he's on the field, but he just can't stay healthy. So
that's a problem that we have on defense. So we'll see where it goes. On the same note, I'm sitting back here as a Chiefs fan going, what the fuck is going on with my Chiefs? Because they are just getting raided. Just saw McCole Hardman is just signed with, I think, was it the Seattle? Maybe Seattle? I can't remember who the fuck he signed with, but he's gone. So now we're back in a situation with the Chiefs where we're limited on wide receivers again. I know they have Rashee Rice. They lost Justin Watson. They just lost McCole Hardman. They lost DeAndre Hopkins. So we're stuck with Rashee Rice. They re-signed Juju Smith-Schuster, which wasn't, he didn't play great for him last season. So who knows how that's going to go. So I'm really starting to feel that maybe this is the Bills' year coming up. I think this is a good year that either the Bills or the Ravens could actually sneak past the Chiefs to possibly make it to the Super Bowl. And if they had the chance, this would be the year to do it.
That's a pretty bold statement, and it's not something that I thought I'd hear you say at this point. But it also speaks volumes because, it's not like you don't know what the hell's going on in Kansas City. You follow that team very, very closely. So we've kind of jabbed at one another about the Buffalo Bills, about Josh Allen, how he's always going to be the number 2 behind Mahomes and the Chiefs. As a sticking point, I was not rooting, but I was picking for Buffalo to go over the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs this year, just so we had some sort of contention on the show. But to hear you say that, take all jokes aside, that's a pretty bold statement, and I don't believe you're the only one who's echoing those concerns. Now, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan or a Baltimore Ravens fan, you're chomping at the bit right now, because there are other people like Tim Sheridan and other nationally known commentators and broadcasters that are echoing the same sentiment, and they're feeding into that hype. So as we come into next season, the first time we see a Buffalo Kansas City or Buffalo Baltimore matchup, Baltimore Kansas City, like, these are going to be marquee matchups on that particular weekend, because ultimately, if we're being honest here, as where we're sitting, the AFC is going through one of these three teams. It's going through Kansas City, it's going through Buffalo, or it's going through Baltimore. But to hear that is like, oh, okay, so what the hell are they doing in Kansas City, and why are they dismantling this team? Is it because they got such a shock, a scare, based on what we saw at the Super Bowl, how they performed against the Eagles? Are they just throwing in the bomb, blowing it all up, and starting over? I don't know. We're not privy to those conversations, but you've got to believe you're talking about a team that's a dynasty at this point, even with the loss to the Eagles at the Super Bowl. The AFC has been dominated by the Kansas City Chiefs for a handful of years now. They don't want to lose that momentum, but at the other hand, right. But if you're Buffalo and you're Baltimore, and on a low-key level, if you're a Pittsburgh, if you can figure out what the fuck you're doing with your starting lineup, other teams, the Chargers, they want to be in the mix, and we're starting to see Las Vegas kind of low key start putting pieces in place to try to make something of an impact in the division, let alone the whole conference. So there's a lot of question marks right now around Kansas City, and justifiably so. So you're concerned, Tim.
Yeah.
We can't forget about the kryptonite that is the Bengals.
Yeah, you can't forget about the Bengals at all. They could come out of nowhere.
Right.
But they have kind of issues that Kansas City is rolling out right now, and they just signed 3 players that take up, what I see, something like 40% of their cap space, just in 3 players. So they kind of got the same situation going on.
It's insane. 2 wide receivers that I did not expect them to keep.
No.
But
And that leaves you go, are they going to have the same issues next year that they had this year? And that was on defense and offensive line. It doesn't matter if you have 2 stud fucking wide receivers if the offensive line can't stop anybody. Like, that doesn't leave Joe Burrow. And give credit to Joe Burrow. He's one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. That man makes something out of nothing, and he still, he was in MVP talks last year. Oh, Dave said Tim was just upset because Taylor Swift and I are never, ever getting back together. Damn, Dave. He just keeps going. But anyways, yeah, so the thing, but yeah, and you were bringing up the Chargers on point, but you got to look at the Broncos too. I think the Broncos made a pretty big splash in the AFC this offseason, and they were looking good last year. I mean, for as bad as their season started last year, they really came around last season. They made it to the playoffs, so you can't knock them on that. That AFC West division this year is going to be tough for the Chiefs because, even the Raiders, who knows what they're going to do. I know we have people who listen to this that are Raiders fans. They could come out swinging this year and make an impact, but so far, the Chargers in Denver are really making a run to make something happen, and you got the Chiefs just sitting there. They're dropping players left and right, and you bring up the point of why is that happening. It really comes down to cap space. Before they just restructured Chris Jones and Patrick Mahomes' contracts, they were, I think, $29 million over on cap. So they had to restructure, and that's going to bring a cap hit up in 2027 of something like $98 million alone. So they're playing with fire right now with what they're paying people, and they have a little bit of cap space this year, but it just extends to 2029 to where this shit could just all fall apart. So they could still be competitive this year, but by 2029 comes around, it's going to be, it might not be 2029. It might be 2027. I can't remember. It's a couple years away, but it's really going to hurt them in the long run. And you start to see this with teams as, they keep restructuring these contracts, move it towards the end where they're taking these cap hits at the end of the contract. And that's when shit falls apart. That's where I go. Detroit's actually playing it smart right now. They're not spending a shit ton of money. They're not going after, trying to go after a Myles Garrett and burying themselves. They're keeping themselves centered to be able to keep this team successful for years.
One other note of news I would like to make mention of. We talked last week about Cooper Kupp and what his future was going to look like. And looks like he's heading to the Pacific Northwest, signing with the Seattle Seahawks. And he's already singing the praises of Sam Darnold. And if you recall, Sam Darnold signed a deal with the Seahawks, presumably going to be their starting quarterback. What does this do, Tim, in your estimation for the future of Seattle?
That's all I gotta say. Sam Darnold fucking sucks. He can't play under pressure. He got exposed last season. Everybody knows how to beat him now. That's what it is. I don't know how Seattle's offensive line is right now, but Cooper Kupp went there for a payday. That's all I got to say. That I don't think the team's going to be competitive under Seattle. There's a difference between Seattle and what Minnesota was last year. Minnesota was a QB-friendly program that you could plug anybody into that system. They were going to look good. Seattle is not that. So we'll see how it goes, but I think he's going to get eaten up there. And Cooper Kupp's just going to have a fall-off year before he signs with somebody for another year for $4 million just to stay in the league. Anybody else have any comments about that?
Anyone? T, where are you at on it? I know you're a big Seahawks fan.
Yeah, I could give a fuck. I think Tim's right. I don't even know the fucking teams.
Didn't DK or
Vikings?
Yeah.
The Vikings and the Bears, they look like they added some pretty good pieces in this offseason.
Yeah, the NFC North's going to be tough again this year. It's going to be a tough challenge for anybody. Devin just brought up a point. He was talking about DK. I think he signed with the Steelers, didn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah. I think he went to the Steelers because he wanted to play for like an all-star quarterback. Unfortunately for him, they don't have one. So I don't know who the fuck he's going to play
Not
for.
since Charlie Batch.
He'll be a Madonna with George Pickens down there.
Yeah. Who
Pittsburgh.
knows? Yeah, Pittsburgh doesn't even have a fucking quarterback, bro. Like, we don't know what the fuck they're doing. No quarterback. Literally traded one away and released the other. What the fuck are they doing? They don't even have a fucking backup. So who knows where that's going. But yeah, Cooper Kupp, just I don't think that was a good signing on his part. He went to where? I mean, I'm kind of sad. Like, who else thinks that maybe? I mean, before we re-signed Tim Patrick, I thought maybe there was a chance he would come to Detroit, which I was kind of like up in the air about because he does have a pretty good injury history. But if you could have got him for the right price, but I think Seattle's paying him something like $20 million a year, like he's an elite fucking wide receiver, but he's been injured the last 3 out of the 4 years. So I don't understand how you can really consider him elite when he's had that much injury history. At my point, he should be right there with fucking DeAndre Hopkins right now, who was elite at one point, but now he's making $6 million a year to play for Baltimore. So, I mean,
He's old, though, isn't he now?
DeAndre? Yeah, he's in his, what is he, 32? I want to say he's 32.
Oh, he's only 32?
Yeah. I mean, but in football years, that's old. I mean, a lot of these guys don't make it much past that. I mean, you look at Travis Kelce coming back for another year. He's going to be 36 by the time this thing's done. That's quarterbacks tend to seem to go. Quarterbacks and offensive linemen seem to have the most life in the league. They seem that they can go the longest. Other than that, everybody's early 30s usually. Running backs, fuck, they average 3 years, if that.
It's really rough for running backs.
Yeah.
Anything else from the NFL side of things you guys want to bring to the table before we shift over to MLB real quick?
Devin, you got anything?
There's a little speculation with Hendon Hooker, but that's it. That's all I got.
I heard a trade possibly to where? I saw it earlier.
I don't remember the destination, but I know we picked up another quarterback. So
Yeah.
it's kind of might be draft day trade. Get some more
Maybe.
capital.
Yeah. I mean, that's a possibility. Never put anything past Brad Holmes, but is that just us falling off the thought that Hendon Hooker isn't the future, or is it just trying to make a race towards to make something happen this year? Is my question.
I don't see why we would give up on him. We gave him 1 year. The injury year doesn't count.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just trying to pick up some more capital just to make a push this year.
Maybe. Hopefully. We're hoping for a push.
Yeah, because you're gonna need a good backup because, I mean, let's be honest, Goff could go down just as easy as Rodgers did when he first started with the Jets, and it could be over just like that, and then what?
Yeah.
But, well,
You know, somebody's. Go ahead.
Bridgewater stayed, right?
I haven't heard anything about him resigning yet.
Okay.
So I know when they signed him last year, it was just for the end of the year. I actually honestly thought that Bridgewater was going to come back as a coach this year. So we'll kind of see what that happens. You know, if they can get Bridgewater to stay, then Hendon Hooker might not be a bad deal to try to push him to somebody off as a trade to gain some capital. Other than that, I really don't. I don't know what the fuck they're doing there because you still have to leverage the future. So unless you think you're going to get a different quarterback in a couple of years or in a couple of few years, you know what I mean? Like why trade him away at this point unless they've just lost confidence in his style of play or whatnot? You know what I mean? Like they were pretty high on him when they drafted him. So, you know, maybe they lost focus on, or they lost, you know, a feeling that they had about him after watching him kind of work through progressions last season, and maybe they just don't like the fit.
Yeah, Goff's not going to get any cheaper, so.
No, and I don't see him playing past this contract, to be honest. And honestly, this was his biggest contract that he was going to get, and he took a team-friendly deal. What do you say? Hooker is not the future. You've seen what he did in the preseason. Yeah, that's hard to say, though.
What?
He was coming off an injury year in his first time in the NFL. So, Eric, you got to give him a little thing. I don't know if I'd call him a bum, but obviously they're not too high on him right now. And with teams like Pittsburgh sitting out there without a quarterback, maybe you can make a trade to make something happen. So
I
maybe
like that
draft
he
pick.
played fearless.
Yeah.
He wasn't afraid to hit somebody, so, I mean, there's that about him.
Yeah, but with his injury history, you kind of go, do you want him hitting that many people?
It's like a Tua situation.
Yeah.
But,
So, good old Tua. Who did they pick up as their backup? I know they just signed somebody. I can't remember who the fuck it was.
First name wasn't Hawk, was it?
Dolphins are in shambles.
Yeah, they're done. They're going to lose some more players by the time this is done. But anyways, we're starting to get late. Let's get into MLB. This is why I like having Jim here. We need to start having you here a little bit more. You guys follow? So at this point, I'll let Jason and Jim take over. Let's talk about some baseball.
Well, we are, a week away from the first, less than a week away, actually, from the official opening of this year. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. They're actually going to start the regular season over in Tokyo, Japan, for a 2-game series before everything gets shifted back over here to the States. T, I know, for us, it's all about the Detroit Tigers, and you and I have had conversations off air, through text and whatever. You have not been overwhelmingly enthused with the trades or the moves that the Tigers have made in the offseason as we come into a pretty successful overall season last year that saw the Tigers make a pretty deep run into the playoffs. From where we are right,
4-11.
So where we are right now, do you anticipate that the Tigers are in a position to where they can make or be considered for a playoff run this year. I know we haven't even really started and gotten out of the gate, but everybody does this shit. You know, everybody kind of projects what the divisions are going to look like in terms of what you've seen with spring training, with some of the trades that have been made. Where are you at? What's your feeling for the Detroit Tigers in 2025?
Well, I think we got to be happy that Torkelson's hitting the fucking ball. That's really good. He's got, I think, it's 4 home runs already in spring, and usually this time last year he was 44 strikeouts in. So I mean, he's hopefully finally learned how to hit the curveball at the same time with the fastball. So, and then Gleyber Torres, the new addition, he's hitting the ball. I think they're actually having a pretty goddamn good spring. Pitching's going well. Screwball, as always, as advertised.
Low key, not a lot of pop, not a lot of circumstance, not a lot of bells and whistles. But this motherfucker is the defending Cy Young winner, and
Packs his lunchbox and goes to work.
Right. But nobody talks about that. Why? Because it stems right back to what we opened the show with, that there is a prejudice against Detroit with the higher ups of these sports organizations. The Tigers are no exception. You know, you can have a Cy Young Award winner in Tarek Skubal. Nobody's fucking talked about it. If it was some other marquee player on some other marquee market, like a New York or Chicago or LA, that's all anybody would be talking about. But because he's here in Michigan, in Detroit, nobody is paying any attention to him. But on the other hand, that's what made the Detroit Tigers so dangerous late in the season last year. They came out of nowhere. And the next thing you know, they were making people stand up and take notice because they were winning. Next thing you know, they're in the playoffs. Next thing you know, they're going in deep into the playoffs, and we're thinking, holy shit, is this going to be another 2012 situation where they're going to wind up going into the World Series? We had serious talks about this. It didn't wind up happening that way, but man, I mean, for a hot minute there, as we started this very show on this network, it was at the end of the regular season, going into the postseason. Of course, they run into the buzzsaw that is the Cleveland Indians, or Guardians. I beg your pardon. But I don't know. Like, I am very optimistic that this is going to be another one of those one of these things where the Tigers are not going to be making a lot of major headlines, but they're going to win and keep winning and keep winning. AJ Hinch has really brought this team onto one page, and you can see the difference that he makes. And again, this goes right in line with the other major teams here in Detroit, with the Pistons, with the Lions. Red Wings is iffy, but like, AJ wants to win here, and the players want to win here, and it is going to be a team effort because we don't have that one standalone superstar like all these other major markets have. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And if he continues to do what he did last year, where he's plugging guys in to the situations that fit against the opposing pitcher, he's going back to Oakland A's money ball here. They're going by statistics on this, and I think they used, what was it? Was it 11 or more starting pitchers last year throughout the whole summer? Maybe it was more than that. But I know we're not going to have Parker Meadows to start the season in center field. He's dealing with an elbow injury. But I heard Casey Mize has added 4 miles an hour on his fastball, so he's up to 96. I mean, this is all. I mean, it's taken a while for. I mean, he's coming off of Tommy John surgery, and it's just you don't find that. But Verlander, he had that as well, right? And he found life again too. So I kind of was surprised they didn't make a run at him, but at the same time, it's that's in the past now. That book's been closed a long time. But I think these guys are going to be all right. They'll at least be in the wild card, if not higher.
Who was the player that said like he doesn't watch tape? You guys
Who's that?
remember that?
Who doesn't watch tapes? Or
Yeah,
was it
that
Javi
he had,
Baez?
was that who it was?
And it shows.
He said he's an old school player. He doesn't need to watch tape.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't play that way, he said.
And over Detroit's long history, we've had a lot of good third basemen and a lot of good shortstops, but they couldn't always hit the fucking ball. You can always get guys that play defense, but when you put them at certain positions, they have to have power numbers there. Third base, shortstop, first base. You know, catcher, anywhere from 20 home runs on up would be ideal. I mean, in a real world here, you know.
Yeah.
And your outfielders for speed, and then, but I really was hoping we'd get a power right-hander other than, I didn't think Gleyber Torres was going to be on the calendar. If you said, who are we going to pick up in the offseason? I would have never seen that. I never saw that coming. I think he's going to be good as long as his errors stay down.
Javi Baez, to me personally, and it was really solidified last night while I was at work, because I was so ecstatic when Detroit was going to sign him. And I was like, oh my God, finally. This is the kind of guy that we needed. And I'll tell you why I felt that way, because it was reiterated last night. I think it was on Tubi. I found the official documentary on the 2016 Chicago Cubs World Series championship team. And Baez was such a huge part of that team. That whole season, he was so instrumental in the Cubs getting to that spot. And he left Chicago. He did okay, not great, but I was like, all right, he's coming to Detroit, well-established franchise. This is going to be that reset button that he needs, that we need. And it has been a complete popcorn fart in church. And I have, as a fan of his, I have been so disappointed in what's happening. And the fact that they continue to give this guy the starting job is a source of concern for me. You know, I think he's going to be better, you know, coming off the bench or whatever. Give somebody else that actually wants to be here. Not because at this point, I feel like he doesn't want to be here. He's just here to collect a paycheck. I want to be wrong. And I feel like the culture of winning is going to change that mentality. But I'm starting to get the feeling with Baez that he's above this team, or he feels like he's above this team. And that shit don't play here in Detroit. You know, you have to be a part of this. I think of Juan Gonzalez. Like, I always think of that guy. When he came here, there was all of this buzz around him, and you could tell from day one he did not want to be here. He just wanted the paycheck. I do not want that to be a thing with Baez, although, man, his production just has not been there. I want him to be humbled. I want him to have to sit out and let some other kid come in, get that starting job, because if that's not going to motivate Javi Baez to be a better player and to be a better teammate, nothing will, and he needs to get the fuck out of MLB altogether, in my view. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, like you said, get somebody in there that can take the position and that can actually hit the fucking ball. I mean, you bench Miggy after a while for it. Why? It's the same thing here. He's the second coming of Brandon Inge, so don't even get me fucking started.
Don't be
You know what I
knocking
mean?
on Inge, Jim.
Dude, no, right. That's my tick, man. Like,
Donnie
I literally have seen you walking around with an Inge jersey on, so keep your mouth shut.
no, negative. You would never see that shit on my body ever. Don't you be spreading lies.
Oh,
Got
man.
anybody that can Photoshop real well?
No.
Yes,
If you're gonna put anything,
Yeah,
have it say
Jason.
have it say Inglewood on it.
We need an Inge jersey on, Jim.
No.
that's going to be
I'll come to your little fucking studio and do a run in on your ass. Fucking chairs ablazing. I have Vic Vanity right behind me.
Oh, is it going to be the Vic Vanity persona or the Fatty McFatterson? Because I'm not worried about the Fatty McFatterson. He never made it to the ring. Like, he would just fucking blow up before he got to the ring and lay there in the fucking aisleway passed out. That was my favorite fucking gimmick ever. Like, Jason, Dave, we see him here all the time. Dave had a gimmick where he was called Fatty McFatterson, and they would play his music and he'd start walking to the ring. He'd get blown up. He'd fall down halfway to the ring. He would just lay there for the entire match. But he only ever came out during like battle royals and shit. Like, he would never actually enter the match. He would get blown up, pass out there on his way to the match, and just lay there. It was fucking amazing. Fatty McFatterson is my fucking hero.
That is amazing.
Yes.
That is absolutely fantastic. T, are you okay?
We lost him when I brought up Fatty McFatterson, so
Yeah,
because he knows exactly what the fuck I'm talking about.
Well,
He's
looking at
gone.
yeah,
He had to go take a shit.
that
He's gotta
could
poop again. His phone's still there. We got his chair. Is he sitting
Right.
in his garage, barn? Like, what the fuck's going on here?
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're looking at the time here. We will start winding this down. We certainly appreciate everybody tuning in here this week. Well, this was a really fun episode. And Devin, you are welcome to come back on here anytime your schedule allows, my friend. It was great to have you on here. Thank you for taking the time. Jim Brigette, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on here, pal. We'll try to do this again next week, get you on here sooner, and we'll really do a deep dive into Major League Baseball, golf headlines, the NBA, NHL, anything that, because if it makes headlines, it's fair game here on the PFC Entertainment Network. And one more time, for those who are joining us late and you are dialed into March Madness, let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. Like, the Michigan Wolverines will be playing San Diego Tritons on Thursday. That's at 10 p.m. on TBS. And then on Friday, the Michigan State Spartans will be taking on the Bulldogs of Bryant. Friday night, 10:30 on TBS. And of course, we will be breaking down all of the news and information as this tournament makes its way to the Final Four. We will be breaking all that down here next week. Anything else, Tim, before we get hop out of here?
Happy birthday, Andy Reid. Happy birthday to you. I saw that, Jim. I fucking saw that. Happy birthday to you. He's fucking gone. Damn it. Happy birthday, Big Red. One of the best to ever do it. We fucking lost Jim. Hey, hold on, I didn't finish. Happy birthday, dear Andy. Nobody's joining me? Fuck. Happy birthday to you. Cha cha cha.
Oh, that was fun.
Damn it, Devin, you left me fucking hanging. Someone's got to sing happy birthday. We can start it over. You guys ready?
I got the Lions. I'm no Chiefs fan.
Damn it.
That's
I'm not singing it again.
We appreciate everybody tuning in, and if you ever have any questions, comments, feedback, anything of the sort, you can hit us up over on the Sports Real Podcast Facebook page or pfcnetwork.net. With that, go out, be awesome to yourselves and to each other. We'll see you next time right here on the Sports Real Podcast on the PFC Entertainment Network.
Go Lions.
Go Lions.
All right, now I gotta wait till my ass upload. Oh shit!
Oh, wow.
Did I upload already?
No, you're at
still-
9%.
Yeah, I'm at 99. I still have to wait till it fully upload. There I go. I'm uploading. I'm fucking surprised with the many times it booted me off.
Amy says, dude, I can hear you all the way upstairs. Oh, that's funny.
Good. Good.